road trip for the president today. He's heading to Tennessee to talk Obamacare and school choices. But what kind of a welcome will he get in Nashville, the Music City? Our next guest says it's going to be a warm one, especially for manufacturers like him who are already seeing a change for the better. Robert Segrist is the business development manager for Greenleaf Industries, a Tennessee manufacturing company, and he joins us live today from Nashville. Good morning to you, Robert.
Good morning.
Okay, so what kind of a message are you looking for from the President of the United States? Because I know so far you've liked what he's had to say about manufacturing jobs here in the United States.
I tell you what, it's been a real shot in the arm for the manufacturers. Before Trump, it was our whole marketing scheme was shifting away to a different thing, thinking that a lot of stuff was leaving the country. And then after he got elected, we were actually at a trade show, and the day after the election, everybody was just euphoric. All the manufacturers in there were just unbelievable. You know, we just in the past 2 months, we've seen 3 major companies within our area looking to reshore and bring jobs back to America. So now, we're very excited.
Robert, you just used a term I've never heard before. You said reshore jobs. What does that mean?
That means jobs that were either here and left the country, or jobs that are in a different country, bringing them back into America. You know, possibility of tariff. Just spoke to a major Asian auto manufacturer just last week that's looking to take jobs that were once here in America. They moved them to Mexico, and they're looking to move those back into America.
Robert, what kind of business, what does your company do? What do you make?
We do plastic injection molding. We do some light assembly. We do some part decoration.
Okay. To your point earlier about the number of manufacturing jobs so far created in the month of February by, under Donald Trump, 28,000 so far. But what's interesting is the number of manufacturing jobs lost during the Obama administration, down a little more than 250,000. So why are people, Robert, in your shoes, you said this word earlier, euphoric about what Donald Trump's talking about?
We're finally being put back into a level playing field. You know, American business is not afraid to compete and to win, but it's when you're buried up to your waist and they're throwing fastballs at your head, it's kind of hard to compete that way. But President Trump has leveled the playing field. He's put us back in the batter's box, and, we're getting the same pitch as everybody else is.
Do you think,
go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think it helps? I mean, you're a businessman. Does it help having a businessman in the White House? Does he understand things that perhaps somebody who didn't have the same kind of background would not?
It is amazing. I've never seen a president like this in my lifetime. I don't know if I will ever see another one again. It's just been a real shot in the arm for manufacturers across the United States, and especially in Tennessee.
Hey, exit question for you, Robert. MSNBC had the big explosive scoop yesterday that in 2005, Donald Trump made a lot of money and paid a 25% rate of taxes as well. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because some people have said, oh, he didn't pay taxes.
I think Trump is an American, and he's going to do the best he can with what he has, which obviously he made a lot of money, and then he's going to follow the rules because those are American rules, and he's an American, so he's going to pay his taxes.
All right.
I don't see anything wrong with that at all.
Yeah, why would you pay more than you owe? That would be crazy. All right, Robert, we thank you very much for joining us live today from Nashville.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right. Straight ahead on this Wednesday, how do you know Prince William is just like any other dad? Just watch his dance moves. The royal party fails. Straight ahead from the royal dancer.
We have some quick court headlines for you. It is Judgment Day for the president's revised immigration order. 3 federal courts are set to hear arguments before it takes effect at midnight. Hawaii, Washington State, and the ACLU all filing separate lawsuits trying to block it. And disgraced Army deserter Sergeant Bo Bergdahl will stand trial. An Army appeals court deciding not to dismiss charges based on President Trump's campaign comments.
He's a traitor, a no-good traitor. And 30 years ago, he would have been shot. He was a dirty, rotten deserter.
Bergdahl was exchanged for 5 Afghanistan prisoners in 2014. After walking off his base in 2009, he is facing desertion charges and 5 years in prison. Brian?
All right. Thank you, Ainsley. The opioid crisis in America showing no signs of slowing down, sadly. And while Democrats claim the GOP's health care plan will make things worse, our next guest says they're just looking to spark fear in Americans and make the president look detached. Joining us right now is Andrew McKenna. He was a Marine and a DOJ prosecutor whose life was upended by heroin spurred on by opiates. He shared his story, as you know, in a book that we've discussed here called Sheer Madness, From Federal Prosecutor to Federal Prisoner. So, Andrew, you know, the president went out to New Hampshire and other places that have been just flooded with this addiction problem, especially with the young people, 18 or 16 to 25, and they're trying to make him look as though he's ignoring them when it comes to this plan. What's the reality?
Brian, it's good to be with you again. The reality is we need to tone down the panic on this one. I mean, it's absolutely absurd. The president lost his older brother, Fred, to the disease of alcoholism. He understands that this is a disease and not a moral failing. That's number one. I think things have spun out of control with this. We still have the Comprehensive Addiction Recovery Act, which is very much supported by the administration and Congress, which was passed with bipartisan support last year to increase education, treatment, and access. But we're missing a bigger point here. The failing is, right now, is that we have inadequate treatment centers across the country.
Yep.
That will take you in, you know this, that will take you in for 28 days and spit you out. Okay, for instance, at addiction campuses, we bring people in, we treat them for 30 days, and then we have a continuum of care, and we have a balanced life curriculum, we have an amazing alumni program. That's the differentiator. But we're not doing anybody any service by bringing them in and then just dumping them out. It's a revolving door.
Right.
It's the cookie-cutter approach. You know that.
Right, absolutely. So yeah, that's one thing, too. And by the way, you're lucky to get 28 days. A lot of times they say, hey, your insurance is out. You're out in a week. Sorry. Maybe there's a part-time place you can go to in between going back to drugs, sadly, and then checking in once a week. But, Andrew, in the big picture, it's very expensive to have these rehabs as worthwhile as most of them are. How do you get over that cost? And is there anything in the Ryan plan that addresses this?
Well, I think, funding is critical, right? We have to be able to treat everybody, whether it's poor folks. Listen, when I got clean and sober 12, 13 years ago, I didn't have a penny in my pocket. There's ways to treat people, but it has to be the right sort of treatment. And so the funding is critical. And based on the Ryan plan, what I see is that we're turning the power over to the states. Not immediately, 2020. And they're on the front lines. You look at West Virginia, look at Ohio, look at New Hampshire. Okay, I want the governors of those states and the legislators of those states to make the decision on how best to treat folks, how best to spend those dollars. They're on the front lines. And here's the other point. So the mandate for Medicaid to treat, substance use disorder, mental health issues. Okay, the mandate goes away. Supposedly, the mandate goes away in 2020. What politician is going to cut spending when every constituent in their district or in their state is affected by the opioid epidemic? That would be politically untenable. You're not getting reelected if you cut spending for treatment.
Absolutely, and that's one big thing, and I think a lot of people are concerned about that. I know Governor Kasich said, I got a huge drug problem in my state, and this is going to hurt it. In reality, you're getting block grants to do it, but you got to act responsibly, because a lot of times you get those block grants, people say, well, I'm going to rebuild a road, I'm going to open up a rec center instead of doing what you're supposed to be doing. Andrew McKenna, thanks so much, and I think your story is very important. I'm glad you keep telling it.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, Brian.
All right, coming up straight ahead, a bombshell report. President Trump made a lot of money and paid a lot of taxes. Stuart Varney made a lot of money, and he pays a lot of taxes. We'll see his tax returns and the president's and see who made more. And it's a game show sweeping the country.
This week.
How one sheriff is using America's love of game shows to catch bad guys. But first, on a different note, happy birthday to rocker Bret Michaels. He's 54 today, very good at reality shows, and once had an aneurysm.
That you've been here.
Maybe he doesn't want the American people, all of you watching tonight, to know that he's paid nothing in federal taxes, because the only years that anybody's ever seen were a couple of years when he had to turn them over to state authorities when he was trying to get a casino license, and they showed he didn't pay any federal income tax.
Well, as it turns out, we know that for at least 1 year he did. Stuart Varney joins us right now. Stuart, so
At least 1 year.
It was revealed. Well, that's the only one we saw. 2005, he made a lot of money and paid a lot in taxes.
Yeah, shall I tell you how much he paid in taxes?
Sure.
$38 million in the year 2005. He earned $153 million in 2005. So first of all, they say, oh, you didn't pay any taxes. And then they say, well, you overstated your wealth. Wrong on both counts. $38 million 2005, $153 million worth of income. I think that revelation last night was actually very pro-President Trump.
Was it a
wasn't a
setup?
negative, it's a plus.
Was it a setup?
I haven't a clue, Brian.
That's what this guy said. This Trump hater who writes books anti-Trump said, I got this in my mailbox. And they said, I wouldn't put it by the president, that he put it there.
Well, I'm not going to indulge in speculation about that kind of thing.
Why do you
I've no idea.
Why do you say this is very pro-Trump?
Because we've been told that he doesn't pay any money in tax. You just heard Hillary Clinton right there. We've been told that he's overstating his wealth. He's not really that rich. Wrong on both counts, and that proved it last night. So all the anti-Trump people barking up the wrong tree here. That was a bust. Rachel Maddow's broadcast last night was a total bust.
It turns out she's propped up the President of the United States. What's interesting is what this particular document reveals is Donald Trump paid more taxes than Bernie Sanders, than the former President of the United States, more than Warren Buffett.
Let me give you the percentages. Donald Trump in 2005 paid 25% tax rate.
Right.
We have Bernie Sanders, who paid 13%. We have President Obama in 2015 paid 19%. So in fact, Donald Trump paid more in tax in a percentage of his income than former President Obama and Bernie Sanders, the socialist.
Wouldn't it have eliminated a lot of problems if he just released all his taxes like everything else, especially if they reveal what this reveals?
That's his choice, isn't it?
Sure.
If he chooses not to, he chooses not to, and pays a political price for it.
Right. I mean, he gives his enemies in our show and documentaries and ridiculous accusations about oligarchs and Deutsche Bank, and that preamble to this show is unbelievable.
Yeah, but it kind of set him up, didn't it? He got them all to say, oh, he's not that rich, oh, he doesn't pay taxes, and then it's revealed that
Geraldo
he's very
called in and
rich.
said, I've seen this show before. I hosted it. It's like Al Capone the Vault.
That struck me. When I saw that last night, I thought, Al Capone's vote evolved. I saw that.
Hey, Stuart, something that also struck us is this article in The Hill talking about CEOs being very optimistic. A lot of these CEOs here in New York voted for Hillary Clinton, and now they're all coming out and saying, we're very optimistic about Donald Trump.
This is another thing you do not see reported in the mainstream media. What you're talking about is the Business Roundtable. That's a group of top-level CEOs. Their optimism index just took a huge jump. They're going to hire more, they're going to invest more. You couple that with small business optimism at a decade high, consumer confidence at a decade high, wrap it all up, and you've got hopes for a growing economy and really strong optimism and confidence all across the board here. And it's never reported.
It isn't.
It's not there.
Although on this channel just 20 minutes ago, we had a guy who's involved in the plastics business out in Tennessee. He said their business is very optimistic because in the month of February, Donald Trump's first month, we added something like 30,000 manufacturing jobs, whereas during the Obama administration, we lost about 250,000 manufacturing jobs.
Look, the economy, our jobs, our money, very important to everyone and their lives. Why is it that you do not see optimism and confidence reflected in the media when this is going on in the economy?
Answer your own question. Why?
Well, because it's not pro-Trump. Anything anti-Trump is headline news. Anything pro-Trump is buried.
That's why he has to tweet, and that's why he tweeted about it. Can we pull up the tweet that he talked about this in the Optimism in America? He said, great optimism in America, and the results will be even better. You're going to get tired of winning.
Right. He's pointing towards growth in the future. And we will get growth in the future if his policies are in place.
That's the speech in Detroit. That's what it's going to be about, regulation and helping growth. And then he's over to Nashville, where he's going to talk, I think, a little bit about health care, and then sit down with Jesse Waters.
Well, it's the live-action presidency.
Yeah.
The man is on the go, 24/7.
He's going to sit down with the CEOs of the auto manufacturers, and he's going to visit that plant where they make the cars that drive themselves. And I love this. He's going to have a rally with the workers,
Yes.
the people who actually put on the hard hats.
There's some speculation that it's going to roll back the mileage requirements imposed on the Obama regime.
Detroit would love that.
Oh, yes, they will.
If you don't mind, we're going to have Abby is going to deliver the news. At least she promised to. We don't know. Sometimes she'll just storm off. And one of the stories
final
is
story.
British related, and I'm wondering to get your instant reaction, because that was your original birthplace.
Go ahead.
All right. So Stuart's
All right,
gonna
now
sit
I'm a little
right here.
nervous. All right, I will bring you this. Snoop Dogg's disgusting attack on President Trump in his new music video with a mock assassination now has the attention of the Secret Service. Well, the rapper's video sparking nationwide outrage. The president's top security team says they are aware of it, but are not releasing details on if they are investigating. And a mother accused of abandoning her 2-year-old daughter at a grocery store, taken into custody overnight. You can see the woman on surveillance video walking in, her toddler not far behind her. Police in Riverside, California say the woman paid her for her groceries, then deserted the little girl, telling a Good Samaritan, "Oh, just leave her." She's now facing child endangerment charges. Just horrible. And a sheriff's method of catching fugitives going viral after turning it into a game show.
This week, looks like we're going to look for Johnny L. Robinson. Now, Mr. Robinson, you know how this works. As soon as everybody sees your picture up here, your inner circle, everybody in the community is going to start looking for you. So we're going to ask you to do the right thing. Man up, turn yourself in.
Wow, that is Brevard County Sheriff Wayne Ivey in Florida. His method, a spin-off of the show Wheel of Fortune, leading to dozens of arrests over the last 18 months. Interesting. And the future King of England, also King of the dance floor, Prince William, tearing it up at a nightclub. A TMZ video showing Prince William throwing his hands in the air like he just don't care. The royal enjoying himself on a ski trip to Switzerland. What do you guys think of his moves? Pretty good.
Well, you know what?
Letting loose.
That's why
people
Stuart
don't like.
That's why Stuart is still here.
Stuart, let's see it. Let's see the moves.
No. What do you think?
Whoa.
What'd you think of the prince?
It was superb. The future King of England dances like a maniac.
Okay, let's do it.
I like it. He was in his own little world, like this own little box he's in. He was just doing one of these things. Yeah,
Stuart, I 100% agree. I feel bad that everyone's critical of him because maybe he's not the best dancer, but we remember famous people who said you have to dance like nobody's watching.
Yeah, and no one's watching. Look.
Right? No, you see, no one's watching. Exactly.
Why am I on camera whilst you refer to the future King of England? Why is that? Oh, play the music.
No, because I think royalty should be allowed to dance even if it's not the best form of dancing.
Would you want his life? Would you want to be the future King of England?
Absolutely not.
Looked at constantly by everybody.
No.
You can only marry a certain kind of person. You can only do this. You can only do that. You want that?
Yeah.
Do you want a castle? You want a castle in fine china and silver?
Absolutely.
And butlers?
I love to be able to live with my extended family in a big palace.
From here on out, I'm Pocket Hercules and you're King Brian.
Absolutely. Fantastic. I'll take that.
All right, done.
Stuart, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, one and all.
That reminds me of the Kardashians. Her boyfriend is, or her husband was Lord. Remember?
Right. And what about who's the son married to?
Here we go.
Black China. Right?
Okay.
All right. Coming up straight ahead. That's a spin-off series that never really took root.
Right in what reality show you watch. Yesterday it was The Butlers. Today it's reality shows.
Okay.
Focus.
Meanwhile, on another note, thank you. A marketing company taking on liberals.
Until you realize that this is earned by this, then you will never be able to actually survive in the working world. We have the most...
Wow, I'm waiting to hear about the Snowflake survey future employees are required to take. So important.
I love you just because we get around.
Well, a marketing company has released a video taking on liberal snowflakes.
So you young activists, you champions of character, you 8th place trophy holders, until you realize that this is earned by this, then you will never be able to actually survive in the working world. We have the most
That video is getting nearly 5 million views, inundating the company with resumes from college students wanting to work there.
But if you want a job, you'll have to pass the boss's snowflake survey. Joining us right now, the CEO of Silent Partner Marketing, Kyle Reyes. Kyle, welcome.
Thank you.
Good marketing.
Yeah.
Yes.
What prompted you to put that up?
You know, after we had that video come out, we had hundreds and hundreds of applicants, good, bad, ugly. We had people who didn't even know what our company does, all wanting to work for us. And I needed a filter to sort through all of that.
What's the point? Why do you feel it's important to have this snowflake survey?
You know, I wanted to be able to have individuals work for my company who would sort of fit the culture, not just the culture of our company, but the culture of our clients too. And we needed to have people who aren't snowflakes.
All right.
You want the best,
So
strongest.
let's take a look at some of the questions. And folks, play along at home. First question to an applicant would be, what does America mean to you? What's a good answer?
Well, America, we're in a very divided time right now, and ever since the election cycle, people are split and no longer having conversations, rational, realistic conversations. So I want to understand how people are able to make an opinion and stand by that.
So what answer would disqualify them from a job?
An answer where you don't know the difference between there, and there from a spelling purpose, and someone who's not proud to be an American.
Okay, very good.
The next one is, what does privilege mean to you? What are you looking for there?
I'm looking for people who are not entitled, who don't have this sense that they should just be handed things, but people who have that entrepreneurial mindset, who are willing to think outside the box and who are willing to work for everything that they have.
All right, now this is the hardest one. When was the last time you cried and why? What's a good answer that gets me hired there?
You know, I want people who have a sense of community, who have a sense of heart, who aren't afraid to wear their hearts on their sleeves, but who are able to actually, again, make an argument and stand by
What
that.
have people said when they answer that?
Oh, we've had everything from I cried the day after the election, tears of joy, to people who talk about parents who have passed on who are no longer with us.
What about I put my family fortune on the Falcons in the Super Bowl?
Then you're not going to have any pity for me whatsoever.
What if I don't cry? Some of these macho guys.
You know, some of the, if they're transparent and they're honest about it, then I'm okay with that, as long as, again, they've got proper grammar, proper spelling, and they can tell us why.
What if I cry every day?
Then I'm okay with that, but I'm not going to give you a safe space at our company.
What about this question? How do you feel about the police?
So we're in the middle of a campaign to donate $500,000 worth of services to police and first responders. We work very, very closely with a lot of police departments, and so you need to be comfortable and willing to support the men and women who serve and protect.
And have you asked that question of anybody and they have not been supportive of the police?
I don't think they would take our test.
Okay.
And then how you feel about guns?
We do a lot of work filming with guns. I carry, a lot of our team and our clients carry as well. We have very hardcore American companies, and so you've got to be comfortable around them.
If you're not, you're not hired.
Adios.
How many openings do you have right now?
We've got 21 people on the team right now. We're looking to increase that by 50% over the next 60 days and double that in the next 6
So
months.
if people want to apply, where do they go?
SilentPartnerMarketing.com or follow me on Facebook.
Have you heard from other employers wanting to adapt something like this?
Oh my God, I've had people offering significant amounts of money for us to design a test for them, which isn't what we do, but we've had people sending presents. Somebody sent a snowblower.
For the snowflakes.
Yeah, a priest from Vegas sent cutouts of snowflakes and said, good for you guys for
priest?
A priest.
What about those naysayers that are watching? Is this is totally legal? You can
Totally
discriminate
legal.
based on.
Well,
these
you know,
answers?
we're really not discriminating because, again, I want to see how people are able to make their perspective heard and to stand by that.
Okay.
Very good. Thank
Kyle,
you very much.
Thank you, guys.
All right, meanwhile, straight ahead, it's tough to be the one giving advice. So what happens when the woman with all the answers runs out of them? Syndicated advice columnist Amy Dickinson, the woman who took over for Dear Ann with her column, Ask Amy. You know what? You're next on Fox and Friends. Welcome.
When's the last time you cried?
Amy Dickinson's advice column. It's called Ask Amy. You probably read it in your local newspaper. It appears in over 200 newspapers around the country and has more than 22 million readers. Her success has skyrocketed ever since taking over the column Dear Ann. And Amy joins me now. She is live, obviously, here in our living room to talk about her brand new memoir. There's a picture of it. It's called Strangers Tend to Tell Me Things, and They Do. Amy, welcome. You are the woman with all the answers. What is that like?
Well, you would think it would be pretty powerful, but mainly it's pretty humbling. I mean, I do this for a living. My living is advising people what to do, but in my own life, I'm a human being. Turns out I have some problems too.
Why did you write the book? To talk about those problems?
Well, I wanted to reveal myself to my readers. I wanted to show them how I relate to them, and I wanted to inspire them and other people to sort of take a chance and do what I had done in late life. I left my home in Chicago, and like 4 in 10 Americans who take care of an elderly or ill family member, I moved back home to my tiny little town of Freeville, New York, and I moved back to where I was born, and I helped to take care of my mother until she died.
Take care of your ailing mother.
Yeah.
Wow. What was that like?
It was the most powerful and potent experience of my life. My sisters and I, we are all come from this very tiny town. Everybody pitched in. Neighbors pitched in. People from church pitched in. The guy who reads the gas meters would pop in and check on my mother. You know, we all pulled together and helped with her. But it is an incredibly challenging thing to do. I was absolutely not prepared. And of course, at the end of it, at the end of this process, which for me lasted for a few years, you lose your family member.
Yeah.
And then you deal with that.
So sad.
Yeah.
You're the woman that usually answers the questions. You're not usually the story. And in this book, I love this book because you're so real. And people ask you advice, and you're the expert. And in this book, you talk about what it's like to be a stepmother, to have another marriage, to watch your mother pass away. So thank you for coming in here and sharing this with us. We'll all be reading your book.
Thank you.
We wish you all the best. Thank you. Former Deputy Campaign Manager for Donald Trump, David Bossie, joins us at the top of the hour with his thoughts on MSNBC's bombshell report that President Trump made a lot of money and paid his taxes. That's the story.